Hey, what's up guys? Back again with another video in the JavaFX series. This episode we're going to make a calculator for JavaFX. So the last few episodes, all of the episodes in the series have been pretty good so far. We learned a lot of things like how to make and use basic nodes, labels, buttons, all kinds of stuff. And we learned recently controllers. We learned binding like IDs and stuff with the controller so that you can use FXML and controllers together to work together, and how to use scene builder and all that stuff. So what I want to do with this project, I want to compile all of our knowledge that we learned over these last episodes and actually do something with it. It's the easiest way to learn is with actually doing something, so getting some practice down. So yeah, we're going to be making a calculator. It's not going to be an extraordinary calculator. That would be cool, but like I said, the goal is to make something using what we learned so far, not something out of this world. So it's going to have some basic stuff like a GUI, obviously, because it's JavaFX. But then we're also going to set up the controller. So that's going to be basically control what happens whenever you click on the stuff in the GUI, and how the GUI works with other parts of the other GUI. So we're going to have two GUIs. So we're going to have one GUI for the calculator itself, and then we're going to have a second GUI for a history GUI, which you'll get to see in a second, but it's basically a way for you to see all of your calculations that you've done. And yeah, so let me just go ahead and show you what this is going to turn out to be. I'm scared to click on this button here because I know you're probably going to think, what the fuck is this? It's so ugly, but like I said, it's not going to be extraordinary, but we're going to get all of our you know what I mean. But yeah, also besides that, I'm not very good at designing things, so yeah, please don't throw up when you see this. So here we go, it's building, and yeah, so there we go, we got a calculator here. It's got some basic buttons on it that you see on most calculators. So if we open up our Windows calculator, I kind of use it as a model. I mean, I have a real life calculator I use it as a model too. I mean, all calculators are pretty much the same. But yeah, we have the numbers, obviously, because you need numbers for numbers, math. And then we have some basic stuff like the clear. So if you want to do 5, 6, 9 plus 3, enter, you can then clear that equation that you put there. We also have answer, which means that you can, for example, answer would be used like this. Click answer, and it puts the answer. Then you can do +9, like that. That's just standard on calculators that I've used. I'm not sure if calculators are different out of the United States and North America. I'm not sure if European calculators are different. I'm sure they have some modifications and stuff, but yeah, I'm assuming they're mostly the same. So you can just use your common sense. But yeah, we also have all the operators here, the equal signs to do the calculation, and we have a delete thing. So if you want to go back, delete that, delete that, delete that. That's pretty cool. Ignore that error. You don't see that. You don't see that. And like I said, we have a history thing. So if we click on history, it pulls up a second window, and we see all of our calculations that we've done, so we can keep track of them, which is kind of cool. And yeah, that's about it. It's pretty simple, but it's also kind of complex. It's the most complex thing we've done so far in terms of JavaFX GUI development. So this should be a fun project to get started here. So let me just give you a rundown of how this works before we actually get into coding. The first thing we're going to do is set up the actual GUI itself. We can't, develop and make a GUI work without the GUI layout itself being made. So we're going to do that, set up the numbers and all these buttons here. And then we're going to put one label here. This is the label for where the equation shows up. And then we have a second label for the result of the equation. So when we click equals, it's going to do this equation here, calculate it, and then put the result in this a label here, so it's a text label. So that's how I did it. You can do it however you want to. That's just the coolest way I could think of how to do that. And so yeah, it's going to do that. It's going to every time you click a button, it's going to add either an operator like minus or plus, or it's going to add a number, obviously. And then you click equals, and it's going to try and evaluate this expression. If it can't evaluate, obviously there's an error here. I mean, we can handle this error. We can have try and catch statements to handle it, and just like put an error on the screen, but I didn't really think of that until now, but it's okay. And yeah, so let's say you mess up like this, you can either delete it one by one or just clear the whole thing. Pretty cool. And yeah, it's a little more complex than that. As you can see, I have a good amount of code here, but it's not that much. So let's just get right into it, okay? Actually, I'm just going to set this up real quick and I'll be right back since it takes a little bit. So yeah, I'll see you in 2 seconds. Alright, so I've got the project set up now. I added the library for JavaFX to my project, and then I added the module thingy within the run parameters and stuff. So let's just open this up here, see what we got. So we got a controller, pretty cool. We got a main, some basic stuff, and we got an fxml file. So I think the first thing we'll do is just go ahead and delete these two here, because I don't want them. Well, let's just we'll just rename it. That's easier to do. So refactor, rename. There we go. And let's call this calculator. Let's do a lowercase. I'm not sure what the convention is for that. We'll do calculator.fxml, refactor, and that should be good. So now we'll go to controller here, and let's rename the controller as well to calculator controller. That's a fitting name. And then let's change this package name. So instead of sample, we'll do me.codysimpson, I guess. That should be good. Alright, so now that we got that, let's go ahead and move these into packages. So we'll do package for controllers, and then we'll have a second package for our fxml file. So we'll call this resources. I think that's the convention to put it inside of a resources folder. So move that, and then let's move our controller now. Boom. And there we go. So let's go into our main now and see what we got here. So we got, so let's see. I don't know if I need to change this path or not since I renamed it to me.codysimpson. I should be good. And let's change this from hello world to calculator. And let's run this to see how it looks. It looks like we have a problem here. We need to change the, instead of sample, we need to change it to me.codysimpson. Me.codysimpson. There we go. And that should fix the problem now. So let's run this again. And there we go. So we get a little window here, calculator. Good. And the size needs to be adjusted a little bit. Let's think. Let's not worry about that quite yet. Let's just actually just take out the size for now. So we can just delete these two parameters right here. And yeah, so we don't need to change the path because it was able to load it, so that we know that that worked. So now let's actually get started on working on the UI itself, the user interface. So let's open Scene Builder. That's really helpful. And yeah, it's going to open this for us. And now we can try making this. So like I said, I'm not good at design, but I did this ahead of time, so I won't be totally a fish out of the water, as the kids say these days. And so we have a grid pane here as the bottom root layer. I'm going to delete that and actually replace it with a border pane, because border panes are very convenient. They allow you to have a top, a left, center, right, and bottom. It's good structure for me, at least. I found that is the best so far. And let's do something. So a grid pane is very nice to have in the center so that we can have everything, like especially for buttons, right? Because buttons, it can be very useful to have buttons in a grid because it's just easy placement, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very nice. So here's our grid here. It's only 2 by 3, it looks like. So it'll expand by itself as we add more buttons to it in a second. But let's add also this cool thing I found. It's called a title pane. Yeah, titled pane. Empty. So titled pane, put it at the top here, and now we got a cool little window like thingy here, and we can move this down to the bottom. And oh wait. So okay, I see what the problem is. So let's move it back up. So we need to give space for our grid. So we just need to balance the space, and let's also change the total size of the window and make it look nice. So let's just go into our thingy on the side here and actually set a size. So I think a good one would be 345 by, it doesn't actually matter what you use, obviously you can use whatever you want, but something like, I mean, this looks kind of good, so we can just use this for now. Let's make sure our grid is, we have enough space for our grid. Let's just move it down a little bit more, if it'll let us. There we go. It looks pretty good. Yeah, we'll let that looks good for now. And something cool, let me show you. You can also do this. So preview, show preview in window. I'm not sure if I showed you that last episode, but you can do this where it's collapsible. I mean, there's nothing in here, so I don't think it's going to work right now for some reason, but basically this is collapsible by default, so this would close up and resize. So let's disable that feature. So if we just click on our titled pane here, we can go to properties, and then where it says collapsible, just uncheck that, and that won't be collapsible. And even though the arrow that was there before now goes away, and we can even give this a title now. So we can say best calculator in the world, and now it appears right there. Pretty cool. So if we open this again, we can see it. Very nice. And let's think here. So now we have our grid. So let's just start adding some buttons to it. You know, make our layout here. So the first button and the top, as you can see, well, as you saw a second ago, I had the history, the clear, and the delete things. But let's just go ahead and add the numbers first. That's like the most essential thing, obviously. So button, put 2, 3. Oh wait, let's have 3 on another row or column. There we go. So, oops. Control Z to go back. And so we got all of those buttons now, so let's add, well, we need 0, don't we? So let's put a button down here. Put that one as 0. And obviously these don't really fit very well together, they look kind of ugly. The final result's gonna look ugly too, but you know, we can at least do something at least for this. But we'll do that in a second. Let's add the other buttons first. So let's add our equal sign and operator and all that stuff. Let's actually add the answer button right here, so ANS. And then now we'll add a 4th column for our operators and our equal sign. So here, put the equal sign right here. Boom. Now we'll have the plus. And this whole process took me a freaking while, because like I said, I'm very bad at designing stuff, like artistically. Yeah, that's my pain. So let's add a top thing here. And we'll put the division sign. Oops. There we go. And now let's add the other 3 buttons, and then we'll be done with this. So clear, delete, oops, delete, and finally we'll have hist for history. Okay, so now we need to think about a way in which we can make these like look better, so it fits the whole grid. I guess that's one way to do it. We can make it so that each button fits the whole grid. The easiest way to do that is just click on one of these. Let me show you how to do it for one of these. If we go down to layout, the layout pane thingy, we can set it to max value. So then it's, for the max height, it's now set to max value. So it's going to extend to the highest, if I can speak English correctly, the highest possible width or height. And then now for the width, there we go. So that's just one way to do it. And if you want to do it for all of these, you can just click on them. So hold shift and then click on multiple. And then now you can go to here and do max value, and now they're all set at the same time. Pretty cool. That's nice. And then let's do these. Max value, max value. We'll do these. Max value, max value. Nice. So I mean, it's still kind of ugly, but already you can see that it fits together more nicely. And let's add another button here so it's just not blank like that. It's kind of stupid. So let's make it blank, but then we'll expand the button so that it's doing what all of them are doing. There you go. Very nice. So that's pretty much how I have it in my first thing that I showed you. So now let's think about how we can further make this look nice. We can start styling it if we want to. So we can make, so there's different ways we can style it. We can either click on one of these or multiple, and then go to properties, and we can have we can set some individual like properties for them, or we can use CSS styling. and you can either type the style, like select the style and put a value, or we can just create a whole style sheet and then add the style sheet, link it, and then do it that way. So let's try that out. I don't know if I showed you that specifically yet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. So let's go to, well, first let's do Control S to save that. So if we go back to our program now and go to calculator.fxml, we can see that it filled up very much so. And then also we should probably set the controller. So let's go back here one more time. Oops. If we go to close hierarchy, open controller, we can now set the controller. So me.codysimpson.controllers.calculator controller. I hope I spelled that correctly. And that should link it. So let's go to here. Yeah, looks about right. So yeah, let's just hope that works. But now let's do that CSS thing I was talking about. So we could just put in the resources folder. I'm not sure what the convention is for that, but I'm gonna just make a separate package called styles. That's the easiest thing for me. So styles, and then inside of here, let's make a CSS thing. And I don't think you can use CSS if you don't have IntelliJ Ultimate, so I recommend you get it. If you have a student email, you can get Ultimate for free and all the other IDEs that JetBrains offers. But let's try and find the style sheet. There we go, style sheet. And we'll call this calculator style sheet. Okay, that's a fitting name. And hopefully you know a little bit of CSS, you've worked with it before, but if you don't, you can go to w3schools.com. They have some really easy and good CSS, HTML, JavaScript tutorials for you. But what we want to do, like I said, there's multiple ways to do this, but since we have a grouping of like things, so we have a grouping of, let's say, buttons here. They're all buttons that have the same use. They're, to put numbers, right? So we can basically group them into a single thing, and to do that in CSS, you can make a class. So dot is how you specify a class. So dot, we'll call this number dash button. So we just made a class here, and each member of this class can have the styles that I'm about to apply. And we can just add whatever we want. I showed you this before. So we can, first, I think the easiest thing to do would be to make these, numbers bigger, make them fit better. So we'll set the font size for that, so FX font size, and we'll set it to about 25 pixels. That sounds nice. And let's also make it bold. So I think you can do that by setting the font weight, and set it to bold, just like that. And that should be it. But now we need to go back into Scene Builder here and add the style sheet. Let's select all of these so we can do it all at once. And let's add the style sheet. So go to Properties, click Style Sheets, click the plus here, and then select it within your files here. So src, sample, styling, calculate. Oh, I'm in the wrong project. This is my old project. So calculator FX, source, me, Cody Simpson, styles, calculator style sheet. Perfect. And that should add that. So now if you go here, you can see that it has all the different classes listed, and we only have one. So just click number button. Kind of nice. And see, you can automatically see that it was applied, so that's very, very nice, very useful. So now just do Control S, so to save all the style sheet stuff that we set it to, and we can do some more stuff for these other buttons here if we want to. So these look fine, I guess, for now. Let's do the operators real quick. So let's go back here and make a class for that. So dot operator button, and we'll set the font size to 20 pixels, and the font, we'll leave the font weight alone, and that should be good. So let's go back to here, click these, set the style sheet, and add the class, and boom, 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 boom. These were automatically set now, so they look a little better. They're bigger, more noticeable. Yeah, looks very good to me. So let's go ahead and, well, first we'll do Control S, and then we'll preview this to see how it looks. And it looks pretty awesome to me. We can resize it if we want to, and they automatically resize on their own. If you want to, you can set, like, of course, you can set minimum sizing, like widths and heights for the window if you don't want to be able to do this, obviously. But we're not gonna worry about that. It's a little too much. There's no point really. But yeah, pretty cool, right? So now that we have the basic GUI setup, we can actually begin working on the coding behind this. So whenever we click on stuff, it actually does stuff and other things. We need to do calculations, all that stuff. So let's get started. Hey guys, I know I just said 2 seconds ago that I was gonna, continue the video and work on the actual code of the calculator, but I lied to you. What I'm gonna do is actually split it up into 2 parts. The first part is gonna be obviously the GUI that you just watched. And then, oh yeah, make sure you like the video, by the way. But also, I'm going to have the second part, which is obviously going to be the calculator itself. And I decided to split it up because it's more watchable as a viewer. If you have shorter videos, split up into parts rather than watching a whole, hour-long video. So it's easier for you, easier for me to get more views, haha. And, yeah, so this video, if you're watching this video, the second part of the video will also be out at the same time, so don't worry about that. So just... you can go click on it right now. And that's about it. So, but also before I go, I want to say that all the code for this calculator, the entire repository for all the code will be in the description. It'll be in the description below, so make sure you check it out. And then, yeah. And then also we have a Discord channel with about, let's see, let's try and do some math here. So 125 plus 727. So that's a good amount. Maybe 850, if my math skills are okay. That's why we're making a calculator, so, I don't really need to do any math in my head anymore. But yeah, so join our community. It's very big, as you can see. We have a lot of stuff. We have a bunch of developers, different channels for if you need programming help. We also have a bunch of other regular channels if you want to get some friends, if you don't have any, like these guys up here, except for me. But yeah, so that's about it. So make sure you join that. There will be an invitation link in the description so you can join our server, okay? So join the community, and yeah. So yeah, that's about it. So if you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and peace.